Have you ever wondered why we don't have a men's soccer team or a men's wrestling team? Title IX has caused many unintended effects from what it was originally supposed to accomplish by decreasing the number of sports overall. Colleges all over the United States are forced to comply with Title IX in ways that are decreasing the availability of sports to students overall. Many students here are being denied the opportunity to play sports, and those are the ones that are so passionate about sports and want to play them the most. Hopefully, over the course of this speech, I will be able to inform you about the problems of Title IX and how we can amend them to create a solution. Title IX was an amendment passed that was intended to decrease gender discrimination in sports, but it created unintended adverse effects and is now responsible for the decreased availability of sports to men. This problem arises from the proportionality clause in Title IX. This clause requires that the proportion of men and women are equal on college campuses based on the proportion of men and women that attend the college. This law is extremely outdated now, considering that the proportion of men on average is now less than the proportion on average of women on college campuses. And this decreases the availability of sports to men because less women are interested in playing sports. And if there's only so few women positions, that means that the men that want to be able to play can't because it has to equal out to the number of women that are playing. Feminists support Title IX and claim that women are just as interested in sports as men are, but there's plenty of evidence to support that this isn't true. According to the Time magazine in 2014, a 2013 ESPN report on youth sports found that 34% of girls in grades 3 through 12 say sports is a big part of who they are. For boys, this figure is 61%. They also say that 26% of participants in intramural sports are women. Time magazine also states that in 2014, Sports Illustrated put out a magazine that was targeted for women, but it ended after only 2 years because there wasn't enough women interested. This proves that women aren't as interested in sports as men are. Now that you understand the problem, I can explain to you a policy that will help fix it. Excluding the proportionality clause in Title IX requires that the number of men and women on sports teams will solve the problem Title IX has created. If this part of the law is taken out, men's sports team will be able to be created even though there may not be an equal number of women who are interested in that sport. According to Cheryl Levick, the director of athletics at Georgia State University on August 1st, 2011, if you're adding a sport such as football to your athletics program, it is imperative you come up with a plan for what you're going to add on the women's side to stay in compliance with Title IX. This has created a huge problem and has caused colleges to get rid of sports teams like wrestling and soccer for men just to comply with this law. Since there are now more women on average attending colleges than men, there are less women who want to play sports. But the proportionate clause must be equal, so that just causes sports to be unavailable to men. An article by the Chronicle of Higher Education in 2006 states, gender equity advocates worry that cutting men and women programs and blocking female clubs from varsity competition may be an increasingly common strategy for compliance with Title IX. This just reinforces the idea that instead of increasing the positions on sports teams, colleges are decreasing them to comply with Title IX, and this is exactly the opposite of what Title IX was intended to do. So let's take a closer look at how this policy would really work. Excluding the proportionality clause in Title IX that requires the number of men and women on sports teams to be equal is the best solution because it still leaves in the part of Title IX that prevents gender discrimination against women, but it will also get rid of the part of the law that causes men's team to be cut because there's not as many women who want to play the sports. According to Walton 2008, many researchers and interest groups that focus on U.S. collegiate athletics call for reform. This just shows that this topic has been studied and there's clearly a problem that needs to be fixed. This policy will enable colleges to reinstate certain teams like wrestling and soccer for men without decreasing the availability of sports for women. It is important that colleges make sports available to everyone on the college campus without thinking about gender. Schools are now allowed to allocate Schools will now be allowed to allocate resources to men's team, even though there may not be the same number of women who are interested. So in conclusion, women are not interested in sports and men, so it does not make sense that there has to be an equal proportion of men and women playing sports on college campuses. This just decreases the opportunity for men to play sports and has caused the disbandment of many athletic teams available to men. We have a chance to finally eradicate gender discrimination with sports on college campuses if only we'll take the final steps in amending Title IX.